And we're live.
There we go. There we go.
All
let's
right.
let's get this popping here. Let's make sure it's shared and all that fun stuff. And no offense, heroes don't do that. There it is, the China duck. Let's get her going. We have a 0 in there. We will like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Afternoon delights.
Afternoon delight. Why didn't I call the show that? Jesus Christ.
Afternoon delight for your viewing pleasure.
I don't know if it's really afternoon delight though. It's kind of a little bit towards the evening, but whatever. That is shared on our group. I've got the chat popped out, so
everything is
says
good to go. Where we going here?
Sharing this on my personal wall right now because I often forget to do that.
Yes, I also forget to share things and like them and do all that fun stuff, but that's what I try to do.
Yeah. And thanks to you and everyone else that's been sharing our stuff. We appreciate that. We are definitely the internet's best kept secret right now.
We are the internet's best kept secret right now. You know, it tends to happen that some people do find us through the gifts of the internet as well as YouTube, and they do kind of appreciate and like us. So we are the best kept secret on the internet as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
We're not we don't owe anybody money, so we're not narrow-minded. We don't anything of that nature. We're not narrow-minded or anything like that. So we are the best kept secret, and that's the way we're always going to be. We're going to be the same way.
We're not narrow-minded, but we are. It's interesting because we're two millennials. And
you see, I don't like that. You called me that last week, and I fucking lost sleep over it.
Why?
We're not like Gen X, like somewhere in there.
Absolutely, I might be bordering on Gen X. You're a little bit younger.
Yeah, but you're a year younger than I am. But like, they're talking about moving that number up because
That's silly, man. Why don't we just
have the same? But we don't
have the same.
Let
me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Millennial coming of age during the millennium. Yep. How old were you in the year 2000?
17.
17, 18, that's coming of age.
But what happens, Adam, and it pisses me off, is that the millennials are a weaker group. They're considered
only in the eyes of boomers. Those of us that are millennials say, fuck you. So what I'm saying, and what I've been trying to say to other millennials is, don't try to, I'm not a millennial, I'm this, that, and the other thing. Stand up for yourself. Say, hey, we are millennials, and fuck you for trying to paint us as weaker. We've gone through September 11th, economic crashes. We've gone through fucking pandemics. This is the plight.
We've gone through the fucking Obamas, the Clintons, motherfuckers.
Well, sure, but this is the plight that we've had to go through. We've had economic downfall. People say we're overeducated and underemployed. That's because you have to have an education to get a job in this economy that the boomers have created. And we, despite getting these educations, still can't get good jobs because the boomers won't hire us.
No, the boomers won't fucking retire. Yeah, they're like fucking 85. I can't retire. Dick, you got $5 million in the fucking bank. Call it a career before I end you old bastard.
Yeah. So they're saying that us millennials, that we lazy, we don't want to get jobs. We've all tried to get jobs. I know you, I know I've always tried to have a job. It's been hard.
Hey man, me too. Oh, absolutely, man. I've changed careers. I've gone back. I've gone forwards. It's fucking impossible. Hey, I bought a house. You bought a house years ago. I just bought a house.
Yeah.
The price difference between our houses is ridiculously crazy, right?
You can thank the boomers for that.
Oh shit. And instead of spending their money and building houses, the boomers, here's the problem down here. I don't know how it is up there. The boomers down here are building these fucking houses because they got money to spend. They're building these $1 million homes. And then guys like us can't afford to buy them. So when they want to downsize because they're too fucking old, they're like, I'm stuck with a $4 million house. What the fuck? You're like, because you built it too big, you dummy.
Like, so here's what I'm saying. I hope that I've made a connection with you here on this. Is we are millennials. The number is, some people say 1982, some people say 1980 is the cutoff between Gen X and millennials. We're not Gen Xers. We're not.
No, we're not. No. So are you saying that as millennials, we must be the voice and take back the weakness?
That's what I'm saying is I would love it if this show was a voice for the millennials to be proud of themselves. If, like that. Done. We have two very different, and we're both millennials, but we're two very different perspectives, two very different people. We've got opposite ends of that spectrum from two millennials, so
who grew up with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck that happens, but It does. That's exactly what happens.
But what I'm saying is, It bothers me when I see people who are millennials that, because we've been bullied, let's face it, we've been bullied by these other generations. It's cool to make fun of millennials. It's cool, rather than saying, hey, fuck you, we're not going to take it. They go, well, I'm a zillennial. I'm a this, that, or the, I'm actually a Gen Xer. Even though I was born this year, I more identify with that. I mean, I think I listened to Nirvana, but I was like 10 or 12 years old when Kurt Cobain killed himself. I wasn't like a 20-year-old, you know? So
yeah, no, I like Kurt Cobain because I had older influences. His cousins, like my cousins,
Sure.
when I was younger, I had more connection with Kurt Cobain. But
the Gen Xers, were the people that raised us. So we did appreciate the music of the generation of Gen Xers.
yeah,
However, we are millennials, and I'm comfortable owning that. I know that I'm going to take some criticism by other generations, but I've got arguments against that criticism. And rather than running away from the criticism, I like to stand up for it. I hope that you do too.
Hey man, I'll punch a boomer in the mouth. I don't care. You know that.
There we go. So there we go. I'm glad we got that out of the way. You know,
you know what? Maybe now I'm going to own it. Maybe I'm going to get me a little millennial shirt or something and just say, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm not going to use the boomer term. I'm just going to break hips. And then you'll know you're a boomer.
Well, they're baby boomers, right? So they're baby boomers, and
that's it. What are we? We're just fucking products of the 80s. That's all.
Yeah,
we're the Bon Joviers.
So what would you like? I've even thought a lot about this, and I would say we're getting way off track. But
I know the show is already gone.
That's all right. But this is an interesting conversation. I have felt that millennials are, you know, they say this greatest generation is the generation that raised our parents, and maybe, but I think that we're in that conversation too. We have, the moment we turned 18, September 11th has happened in our entire adult life. We've had to fight a war that really wasn't our war, but we've fought it our entire adult life. We've had pandemics, we've had economic crashes because of other generations that are pulling the strings that we have to suffer through. And we've done it. We've rose to the occasion in all of these situations.
And to be honest, we've seen inflation more than any other generation. We've seen the most inflation. When you first got your driver's license at 16, price of gas 49.50 cents. Now price of gas $1.35, right? We still have benefits though. We grew up with the internet. We grew up with the 64. We grew up with the Attitude Era. So really, honestly, like we did okay. I'm not complaining. We did okay. We were the last generation, and I'll say our age group right in the middle, like me and you. We were the last generation to have bullying. Like basically,
I don't know, but I'm sure bullying still exists.
But bullying was okay back in high school with us, man.
Okay,
Principal, you punch the guy, you take it, and you beat the piss of the kid in math class, and all of a sudden now you're going home for 10 days, and you're saying I was bullied, and I've got proof of it. And then the vice principal says, "Too bad. That's what you get. You should be getting."
Sound like you're speaking from experience.
It's a possibility, man. But like that's it, right? Like I don't think like teachers physically assaulting you. I don't think that happens anymore. Like
no.
Teachers have physically hit me with paperwork, and I've had teachers call me a little cocksucker, and I've actually legit I punched a teacher in the head. Yeah, literally punched a teacher in the head. I don't like, and it was by mistake. Well. But no, I mean, like, I think like when we were in grade 9, like initiation was the thing. But then when we got to like grade 12 in OAC, we said, not a fucking chance we're doing that. Because it wasn't fair. We understood what bullying was about. Like, and so we didn't do it. So maybe we're a little softer that way. Maybe we understood that the world coming up is going to be a lot harder on you than anything you could possibly do in high school.
Well, another telltale sign of millennials is that we're the generation that knows more about technology than the other generations. Instead of them teaching us about these things, whenever you have a problem with your router or your parents have a problem with the router, instead of the parents fixing it, they're going to their 10 or 12-year-old kid like, hey, how do you fix this? Or how do I set up a Facebook account? Or how do I, these are millennials who have, I don't want to say I would say we were the pioneers of social media. Not that we created it, but once that landscape was created, we're the first to go out and inhabit it. So we're the
But
pioneers of social media.
yeah, and the great thing is that like when you and I get in trouble on the internet, what I tend to do, I tend to get like, I understand. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. But like our parents or somebody like a couple years older get like, what the hell's that? I'm like, no, it's social media, guys.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, then stuff my face. No. And then what I love the most is when somebody will comment on like a national thread. Like, just go like CNN, and there'll be a comment, and somebody will go comment. You're like, why are you commenting on that? It has no effect on you. You're like, well, it's on my face. Because you like the page. You get information from the social media on whatever you follow. That's what people need to understand, which we do. I guess, you know what? Millennials, the early millennials, how long does millennial go for? Is that from 82 to
82
to 89?
No. I think it's like 82 to like 95-ish, somewhere in that.
Oh, let's peel back the digits on that. That's a 15-year gap.
That's about a generation. I mean, it's I can Google it right now. I'm sort of trying to recall.
We should have generations. Like there's 7 years between my sister and I. That to me is a generational gap because those guys. I think
your sister is still a millennial as well. I would still say she's a millennial. 81 to 96 is what the first result is saying. I mean, everybody. The thing is there's no hard and fast rule, right? You're gonna get. Every magazine, every publication, every writer, every person that you ask is going to have a different slightly. That's why I said I'm border Gen X, millennial. You would be pretty.
I'm on the border too.
Yeah,
I understand. But coming closer to the end of that in the 90s, those kids are a little bit of soft and babyish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But these are like 96. On 90, I like for me, I would just say 80 to 95. Let's keep it even, like 15 block. Keep it that's nice and clean cut. From 95 on, I mean, you were 5 years old in the millennium. You're probably not even going to really remember the millennium. So you didn't have to deal with the pressures of Y2K.
That's it, right? Or the kids now that are in the kids now that are in high school, right? Mm-hmm. Or the kids now who are legal drinking age no September 11th is a historical fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which
if
is
you weren't really
in Canada, anyways.
Yeah, if you weren't really alive for September 11th, or you don't really remember it, yeah, you were 6 or 7. Yeah,
that's how old we are, my friend. That's how old we are. You know what, man? Let's get back to it. Let's change it up.
Coming in hot.
How was your week this week?
It was pretty good, man. How about you?
How are you feeling after the old COVID shot there, the old vaccination?
I had a sore shoulder, no magnetic power so far that I've been aware of.
Didn't go straight Magneto on me?
No. My girlfriend got her shot at the same time, and she experienced a lot more side effects, but she's also likely to, how do I say it? She's not sure if that's just her own paranoia. Like, oh,
so that's okay. So that's good. Okay. So here's my thing. So like, I got my shot, and then we did the show, and then my arm was fucking killing me. I was getting numbness in my arm. You start reading those fact sheets. You start checking off like the severe side effects. I was like, but then by the time you're reading that sheet and it says sweatiness and fever, I'm like reading the sheet and I'm starting checking things off. I'm like, blood pressure's through the roof. I'm like, I just need to relax. Monday I was a little sluggish. Tuesday, back to normal. So it wasn't too bad.
I'll be honest. I have the complete opposite end of the spectrum of my girlfriend. Is she, as soon as she got the shot, every little thing that happened to her, she was like, that could be it. This could be it. My shoulder, honestly just felt like I had done some lateral raises, like I had done a good workout the day or two before and I was a little sore. If somebody asked me if I had any symptoms, I was like, no, I have none. And then I kind of raised my shoulder and it's like, oh yeah, when I raise this one, I do feel like I've had a workout in it, and I don't feel like I have had a workout in this one. So when people say they get a sore shoulder, it's not much. I mean, I think for me, it's not much more than a hard workout. And for me, I'm used to feeling that way. So I have to kind of, oh yeah, this one does feel a little different than this one. I do have a workout feeling in this, and no delayed onset muscle soreness in this. So That's my experience.
Yeah, I mean, after the show, I watched Loki, and I was trying to stick like stuff to my arm, and nothing was sticking. Nothing. So I am no longer. I'm not Magneto myself as well, which is very unfortunate for me, because I really want to bend metal and shit. I would just have a good time with it.
That'd be awesome if we could bend metal and control metal. And what if it made everybody into Magneto? Because Magneto is considered one of the most powerful mutants in the Marvel universe. If everybody's Magneto, then it's just like
we're all going to war. We're all going to war. Like, put your nukes away. Yeah, I would not want to be one of the cynical ones that would go, well, you know what? The States have like 3,000 nukes. We'll just find them all and just make them implode, and there goes the world. That's what I'd be afraid of.
Bullets are made out of plastic now.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot.
All right, so what else has been going on this week for you, buddy?
Not much, man. Not much. Watching some soccer, watching a little footy, watching a little Euro Cup. That's about it, man. Hockey, sports and stuff like that. Hanging out with the kid. Father's Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's always a good day, right, for the dads out there.
Yeah, that'll be your first Father's Day, right? With the
kids. Well, it's hard when you think of that, because it's my first year of being a father and having Father's Day, but it's also my first year without my dad for Father's Day. Yeah. So it just shows you on how fast the world, the whole world just goes, right?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. I'm sure tomorrow will be a little bit of a mess, but I mean, it is what it is, and I've got something else to enjoy the day with. It's just never forget, I guess. And that's crazy on how fast the world works. Is that 365 days ago, we were still in lockdown one. I had my dad, and we talked on Father's Day. This year, I'm a father, and I don't have my dad. So it's just a big circle of life that it's really hard to sometimes deal with, but you deal with it when it comes at you.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope you enjoy it with your son. And
I will. I got family coming. I got father-in-law and mother-in-law coming over with the brother-in-law, so we'll be a good time.
Cool. All right. So do you want to get into these news trends?
Get into it.
I'm not even really sure where we can even start. We got a couple of shows we're going to review. We're obviously going to do Loki. We're going to do the Chyna documentary. I think we'll save that for a little bit later.
Let's save that. Let's save the doc for the end.
All right. Well, you want to talk about Batman?
Oh, what do you want to talk about Batman?
Well, Batman recently trending because a writer by the name of Justin Halpern was doing an interview with Variety magazine where he was talking about writing for this show, Harley. Harley Quinn has their own show. I don't really watch it. It's whatever. But apparently they got a lot. They got a lot of freedoms. And he talks about how writing for villains, you have a lot more freedoms than writing for heroes. And I go, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, when we were writing for Harley, season 3, we wanted to pitch a story where Batman goes down on Catwoman. And he was told, whoa, we can't let a hero do that. And it's like, what? What do you mean? Heroes can't have sex? And they go, this is the exact quote. They say, he asks, are you saying that heroes are selfish? And he says, no, it's that we sell consumer toys for heroes. It's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone. I don't really understand that. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't really add up to me.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that make him an action figure if he went down on her?
He gets action.
He gets a little action.
No, I agree 100%.
You know what, man? I don't know on this. You're trying to sell action figures. I think I've seen some videos with Stretch Armstrong where he's been in places he shouldn't have been either. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. Now, I've never seen this. Is it it's an animated series? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's an animated series. I don't watch Harley.
No, but like if I'm watching, if I understand that it sounds like if they're going to do this, that seems like an R-rated animation show, right?
Sounds like it to me.
What? So superheroes aren't to pleasure the other partner, is what you're saying?
Superheroes are not able to pleasure the other partner, I guess.
I guess so. So I guess they're like. Wouldn't that make them a villain?
Yeah, I would say so. And here's the other thing that I want to specify. We're going to split hairs here a little bit. Is some people said, "Oh, well, they're probably just saying that you can't depict Batman having sex. He's not supposed to do that." Well, in 2016, there was an animated version of The Killing Joke that came out, and there was a scene where Batman has sex in it. And I'm going to go a step further because I have read The Killing Joke, and that's not in the comic. They added that into it. So they even added an extra scene of Batman having sex that wasn't even necessary in the animated version. But in the animated cartoon over here, he's not allowed to perform oral sex. So it is, yes, he can have sex. We will allow that, but oral sex is off the table.
I don't understand why you need to have that in the comic book at all.
What do you mean?
Why do you need to have superheroes having sex? Like, to me, it almost devalues it, because I wouldn't want my kid to watch it. Listen, I watch a little bit of animated stuff. I watch some of the more older stuff, but like, I'm not watching Batman to watch him go down on Harlequin. Like, I don't know. Am I the only guy that's doing that, not doing that?
Well, I think now that in the comics, there's lots of sex. I mean, if you've ever read most of Marvel's almost like a fucking Dawson's Creek episode with superpowers. It's this guy's dating that guy and this yada, yada, yada. So they're going to have a lot of that.
Stop you right there, millennial man. I've never seen Dawson's Creek, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's a soap opera.
Wait a sec. You just bring up Dawson's Creek while talking about Batman going down on Harlequin?
Yeah.
That's the worst. Those are the two fucking shows that are on the opposite side of the fucking spectrum. And you're over here dropping Dawson's Creek quotes.
It's more of a criticism for the Marvel universe, because Marvel is a lot more of a angsty teenager, people's feelings are getting hurt kind of story. Whereas Batman, DC universe.
Why is the DC universe so different? Like you said, like when I watch. You watch X-Men on the animated one from the 90s. Mm-hmm. The women are very drawn, very voluptuously. The men are like super jacked.
Sure.
Like they're very sexualized in that way. Mm-hmm. What the fuck's wrong with DC? Like, is DC like a bunch of like kindergarten kids? What am I missing here?
I don't really know. I don't know why. DC's always, I don't know. DC hasn't gotten into they do draw their characters the same way that you're describing, though. I will say that, but they don't get as into the angsty teenager. Is Spider-Man gonna go on a date with Mary Jane stuff as much as they're more stick to the superhero stories, I find.
Unless you're putting nipples on a bat suit.
Exactly, yeah.
And then it's fair game. I mean, like I told you before, man, my guy, Val Kilmer, my favorite Batman, he definitely went down on Nicole Kidman. But
according to this. Not according to this. He did not.
Well, Bruce Wayne did then. Bruce Wayne guaranteed did.
Bruce Wayne does not perform oral sex. Bruce Wayne will not be performing oral sex on anybody, ever.
I'm calling fake news on that.
No, that's from the owner, the people who own the intellectual property that protect that property has said, no, heroes don't do that. Batman is not going to go down on anyone.
What about Superman?
I'm guessing all heroes in the DC universe, all heroes don't do that, which does raise an interesting thought, because Superman, if he ejaculates inside a Lois Lane, he'll blow her head off like a shotgun. So you'd think he'd at least reciprocate a little bit of oral sex once in a while.
Oh, the old Hancock, yes. Yeah, man. I don't know about that. Yeah, that's a good question. You know what? At this point now, I'm just going to avoid DC. We're done.
You don't support selfish lovers, is what you're saying.
Well, no, because now here's the thing. Now, if DC comes out with two female lesbian superheroes, they can't now. They've literally cornered the market for themselves. They're homophobic. I will not stand for that tolerance. I want DC canceled right now. We're not going to have this conversation. They're against same-sex marriage. I'm out. We're done.
That's a whole deep dive that I don't know. You
just brought up Dawson's Creek. Yeah. I literally brought up something that said if you're the same sex, you can't. No gay characters.
Yeah,
in the universe. We're done.
Interesting take on it. I guess there are other things that lesbians can do with each other that we don't.
Like really... what? Hold hands and frolic into the wilderness.
I don't really want to describe. Listen. We get pretty raunchy on this show, but I don't really want to get into these details. I'm not a lesbian, so I'm not going to describe what sex acts I believe lesbians do. But I believe there's more than just oral sex.
But hey, man, no, but still, dude, like, what the fuck? Oh, you know what, man? This is a conversation I don't want to get into. What if, okay, here's what I'm going to say. DC Universe, I'm done with you. I do not want to see you anymore. As it's proven fact, now you're against gay.
They're not against, I don't think they're against gays.
They're against the same sex. That's all I can say about that. Listen, what if Bruce Wayne is behind a glory hole and nobody knows it's a superhero? No, not again. That doesn't work.
I'm guessing
that doesn't work.
I'm guessing he wouldn't do that because he doesn't do oral sex.
Yeah, apparently. So if you're in the so if you want to be Wonder Woman and you want to be gay and support yourself, you can't unfortunately do what I would imagine you would do.
All I'm saying is Batman doesn't do oral sex. That is the stance that DC Universe has had. So ladies, if you're looking to hook up with a hero, maybe look towards the villain because they're willing to break the rules for you.
Ladies, let me just tell you this right now. If you do get into your cosplay outfit and go to a Comic-Con and you see a Batman, he's probably not going down on you. Go find yourself a Joker.
All I'm saying is guys like me and Jean-Marc, we're villains, so you're going to have a lot better time with us.
That's it. Yeah, it is. But I'm not part of the DC Universe. You don't have to worry about that.
Well, there you go. All right, so let's get on to something else here. We don't have a whole lot of stories today. Do you want to get into Alex Cooper?
Alex Cooper. What about Alex Cooper, my friend?
Alex Cooper.
Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper.
Alex Cooper. This is a woman who worked for Barstool Media or Barstool. You might actually have to leave.
Barstool Sports. I believe it is the Call Me Daddy podcast.
Sure.
She was in the middle of renegotiating, as Dave Portnoy, the prez, has come out and said. She was in the middle of redoing her contract, and she figured she was worth more money to Barstool because of the viewership that their podcast has had. It's one of their most successful ones. I think it's number 2 behind Spinning Chicklets, but I believe under the umbrella, it is number 1 or 2. I believe for female podcasting, I believe it is number 1 in the world.
Okay. I do know, I did do a little bit of research. She has signed, the story is she signed with Spotify now exclusively. However, she was on Spotify not exclusively, and she was the number 5 podcast on all of Spotify before signing an exclusive deal with them. So very successful, no doubt about that.
Absolutely. And then what happens is that I believe she signed a massive exclusive deal with Spotify.
3 years for $30 million. $60 million. Sorry.
Okay, so $20 million a year. I didn't know that. I couldn't find the contract, but good for you. It's huge. That's huge for the podcast business. That's huge for the female podcast business.
Yeah.
What it does, though, and the guys on Barstool, because I follow those guys religiously, Portnoy has come out and stating that he was trying to sign her. She was asking for a lot of money. He didn't have the money. Some people are saying it's because that she's female, and Portnoy is a bit more conservative. He's a bit of a dick. Even says he's a dick. So her going to Spotify is great for her. He's congratulated her, said great for you, and way to go. My thing with that is that if you're Amazon or anybody else like Amazon Music or anything, you got to jump on this because you're going to start losing viewership.
Spotify is closing in and they're taking over. They're buying up all these properties like a Monopoly game, and soon enough, they're just going to own all of the podcasts.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, where else would you want to be for your podcasts?
So let me ask.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were done. Didn't mean to interrupt. But let me ask you this. Do you think that Alex Cooper maybe owes a little bit to Barstool? Because she was an unknown, if I understand this correctly, and then exploded on their platform and now has taken her success that they admit they knew she was going to have, and she's going somewhere else.
They're already getting it in free publicity.
Okay.
So basically the way I look at that is like I said, we're the internet's best kept secret.
Yeah.
Right. So people are going to find us and say, these guys are amazing. I love these guys. It's the same thing with Barstool. Now, Barstool's got Spinning Chicklets. Now they lost Call Me Daddy. But the thing is that now you go, well, what else do they have? Maybe they have more talent. So you're going to get more guys more people go to that platform. So that's what I think it is. And they've done some things before to get publicity. So I think that if Barstool continues to make themselves more talent and finding the proper talent, giving people that, I don't think there's ever going to be an issue.
So the argument that you're making is that this Call Her Daddy podcast goes on to be bigger and better people are going to find out that they got their start at Barstool, and then they're going to explore what else does Barstool got that.
What else does Barstool have? And then it also brings up other people. It's like anything you do in life, right? Like you know, wrestling business, you want to be the best, you're going to retire. Well, you got to find more talent. That's what you got to do. And that's what I think they're going to do. The only problem is I don't think the Prez wanted to pay them, to be honest. He must have the money. I don't think he wanted to pay him. I think that he thought, I made you. He's an arrogant guy from what I can understand. I made you guys. You guys don't know what I could do to you. And they go, well, we just signed with Spotify and here's what we're making.
Okay. So do you think there's hard feelings between this?
Probably not now. When you sign a $60 million buck paycheck, you forget a lot of your problems. I think anyways, I would.
But do you think that Dave Portnoy has any hard feelings? Because
I would hope so.
You did send me a video where he seemed to at least be putting on a nice face and a professional face where he seemed happy for her.
He has to, because he needs to get more people to work for him.
Okay.
Right? So you know what I mean? But here's the thing. What he has to do, and let that be a lesson to anybody. If you have to pay your employees, if they're making you X number of dollars, you have to pay them.
Oh, yeah.
Because somebody else will pay them and all the viewership will go that way. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. Oh, right? Absolutely. She's sort of outgrown the platform. And, but you sent me a video, and Dave Portnoy, that's how you say it, right?
Yeah, Portnoy, yeah.
He said that they still actually have a project that they're going to do together in the next year, and that they're actually going to continue to produce merchandise and make money off of her that way. So there is a bit of a synergy between them and her leaving too.
That's good. So that if he's going to take his where he makes his t-shirts and all that stuff, and his platform to make all the gear, and says, I still want you for all the gear, that's probably the thank you. That's not a problem. Here you go. Go to Barstool, get my stuff. Yeah. I am on Spotify, but go to Barstool and grab all my stuff. I mean, to me, that's a win-win then. And there's no such thing as bad publicity as far as I'm concerned.
And like you said, if Barstool's making all their merch, that also means that people are going to go, why is this Barstool company? Who are they? Why are they making all their merch? Oh, she got her start there. Oh, what else do they got? What's the next thing that's going to break that's like this podcast that I can find that's similar? I'm going to check out Barstool for more of that. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, right?
Absolutely. And I think any type of publicity is good publicity for the most part.
Cool. Well, speaking of good publicity, Jon Stewart was on the Colbert Report. Or no, it's not the Colbert. It's late.
You know what? No, hang on. We're gonna call it the Colbert Report.
It's not the Colbert Report, though.
No, listen. The only time I liked him was when he was on the Colbert Report. So that's what we're gonna do. He was on the Colbert Report. Talking to his buddy.
It's interesting. He changed his gimmick as soon as he got off the Colbert Report, because he was this hardcore conservative, and then once he got on the Late Show, he kind of dropped the over-the-top conservative, and he's sort of more of a regular guy on this show. But
sure. But yes, so continue on with your story about our friend Jon Stewart.
Well, as I've said, Colbert is a Republican, right-leaning conservative, and he is in real life. Jon Stewart is a left-leaning liberal, probably the most famous liberal comedian out there. They can maintain a relationship, sort of like you and I, actually, now that I think about it. I didn't really realize that before this. But, Jon Stewart comes on his show and has some things to say in support of Donald Trump's theory that this COVID-19 virus was created in a lab in Wuhan. And the entire time that Jon Stewart is saying this, Colbert is trying to change the subject, get things back on the rails, and kind of lost control of it while Jon Stewart expressed these controversial opinions. What do you think of this?
Well, I think it's all coming out now. I think that
okay.
I'm watching this happen, as you said. I watched it and I go, oh fuck. Mm-hmm. I think we've talked about it. You and I've talked about it before, and I think some things we can agree on with Trump is he was a loose cannon.
Yeah.
He had his phone on him. He didn't give a fuck. Yeah. What this is telling me, and now it's coming out that this, and Jon Stewart's coming out now and saying this is the issue. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because he's saying it's the issue now because he's seeing it. So something tells me, like, once Trump was gone, I think everybody's starting to slowly turn off CNN now because they're not talking about Trump, and I think they're starting to see it. I think I said it on this show before, where I think that Trump just has this in a top secret meeting, and is saying, "Oh, comes from Wuhan lab. China flu comes from Wuhan lab," and then fires it off in a tweet. And they go, "You dumb fuck," and they go, "No, it's not true." But I think that like it's funny that Jon Stewart, out of all people, are coming out not so much on the side, but just saying he's right. Now it takes one to say he's right about that. What else could he be right about?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people have felt that we'd really missed a prime opportunity for Jon Stewart because he was around during the Bush era, criticized Bush, criticized Obama for a little while even too, but obviously is a left-leaning person. And then right when he retires, Trump comes along, and it's like, wow, this is like prime area for him to be criticizing Donald Trump. However, that didn't happen. And now Donald Trump is the forerunner of this, the person that brought this conspiracy theory, as they say it. And the last guy in the world you would think to be in his corner is Jon Stewart. Now, I'm going to say, when Donald Trump was in office, anyone that said, maybe it did come from that Wuhan lab was called crazy, conspiracy theorist. Now that he's out, all of a sudden they're relaxing on that, and suddenly it's not such a conspiracy. And why do you think that is?
Because it doesn't fit their narrative. That's exactly.
But you think it's if you give Donald Trump credit for something, it validates all of him or something?
No, not all. Now this is where it's hard, right? Because like we've talked about this before, and you and I are pretty good because I'll yell loud enough that you'll hear me. But like you open your mind to one thing and you allow yourself to be, oh, maybe it did come from that. Okay, so Trump was right on that. Now, if you have a bit of a brain and you're interested in a conversation, if you opened it up to something else, you could be like, holy fuck, maybe he was right about this, and maybe he was right about that, and maybe he was.
It's funny because I have the exact opposite stances.
Oh, you do? Go ahead.
And I don't want to insult anybody. I know you're a Trump fan, and there's Trump fans, but I don't personally, and I don't think Trump's a very smart guy. I really don't. I think he's a bit of runs off his mouth and doesn't always know what he's talking about and whatever. So with that, in that context, a lot of people dismiss everything that he says. So when he says something like this, it's automatically, oh, that guy's an idiot, yada, yada, yada. But a broken clock is right twice a day. And perhaps,
so he's right about two things then, what you're saying in this whole presidency.
I'm not saying he's right about two things, but
Trump isn't an idiot. The problem with Trump is he's a boomer, like you said, okay, boomer. He's a boomer. He doesn't have a fucking filter on him. His intelligence isn't in medicine. His intelligence is in business.
Okay. I still don't think he's a very smart guy. I don't think, even in business, I don't think he's a smart guy, but
how many billions have you made?
How many billions has he lost?
Yes, that's the American setup, man. You want to talk about business now? I go all day. But no, listen, what I'm thinking now is that now that he's gone and he's not running his gab and people have shut him down. Twitter shut him down. Facebook's extended his ban, all this fun stuff. I honestly think now people are starting to turn already on Biden. It didn't take long. They've already started. CNN's already turned on him. He's already turned on.
I think even liberals turned on him before he was in office. They're going, I don't like that guy, but he's better than the other guy, so we'll vote for him. But we don't really like him.
Yeah, well, I think
let's stay on this Wuhan thing.
But no, I want it. So, like, and Jon Stewart stated some serious facts, but
Sir, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, his main fact is it's called the novel coronavirus research lab in Wuhan, and simply suggesting that the novel coronavirus that started in Wuhan could have come from that lab is considered insanity. Doesn't really make sense. And the reason it's considered insanity is because Trump was one of the people that preached this. But if you take that guy off the table and you realize that there are intelligent people who are also saying this, that it's not just Donald Trump. There are people who have, masters in biology or whatever, these people who understand, doctors that understand things, that are saying that, what is his name? Weinstein?
Harvey?
No, not Harvey Weinstein, but I can't call him Weinstein, whatever his name is. He's one of the people that pointed out that this is it's hard for the virus to make one leap from an animal to a person, but it's even harder for it to then also go from animal to person to people, to spread from person to person. Those are leaps that are almost impossible in science. They'll happen once every thousands of years.
Well, that's yes. And I was about to say that was that, like this, to think it was made from a lab makes perfect sense, because did we seriously just watch it one in a billion-year cycle of something just form and a biology just magically appear in front of us?
Mm-hmm. Well, other things that they're making notice of is that this virus performs in ways that most viruses don't. But as it mutates, it's starting to perform a little bit more like a traditional virus. So it's almost as if it was developed in an environment that didn't have anything to do with evolution. And now that it's out and it's mutating in a way that is natural.
So what happens if we find out that it wasn't a lab?
If we find out that it was in a lab, then
what do we
we're
do?
going to have to, I would say, I'm not there. No, I don't know about that, but we would have to implement international standards for what you cannot do when experimenting on a virus. These would have international standards for that sort of thing.
I just say we nuke China. Fuck them.
I think that's a bit excessive, but
that's a bit excessive, dude. They could have killed. They might have killed grandma.
Okay, but a mistake was made. Potentially, we don't know. But if a mistake was made, let's acknowledge that. Let's adjust, because next time it may not be China. So if we just nuke China, that doesn't really address the issue. It could happen in
but the next time somebody thinks about doing that, they're gonna go, holy fuck, I'm gonna get wiped off the face of the earth.
I think that it would be more productive to just create an international standard to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And, that's probably going to be more of a policing of it, because then when somebody breaks that international standard, then we can enforce it. We can, I don't want to say drop a nuke, but we can go in and enforce that and police it a little bit better. And that's going to help us to police it in the future, in my opinion.
I'm glad, hey man, I'm glad you're here, because you know what? You just stopped me from nuking China. So, I mean, you go be the UN somewhere else, I'll sit around with a couple of codes and we'll nuke them. But no, to be honest with you, man, and honestly, and I know Jon Stewart. I'm glad Jon Stewart came out. I've always been a fan of Jon Stewart. Him saying that about Trump and stuff like that, he'll probably look at other things. So what's going to happen is he'll probably get silenced very soon. He probably will never be able to go back on any show that is on NBC, CNN, anything of that nature. It'll have to be more right wing, like Fox or something like that. But
that's the interesting. The interesting sort of conflict that was, underneath the surface of this is Jon Stewart is a guy who doesn't really have a job anywhere right now. He was very, very well educated, very much knows what a network does and doesn't want you to say, but he's not in a position where he can be pulled off the network because of something he says. However, Colbert is in that chair running that show, trying to make sure it doesn't go off the rails, that he doesn't say anything that's going to get you
silence Jon Stewart, you're dead.
Well, all I'm saying is that you've got Jon Stewart, who has had to have the handcuffs on, because when he was on the Daily Show, I mean, he definitely said controversial things, but he knew where that line was. Now he doesn't have a job to lose. He has nothing to lose, and he's a guest on this show with his friend, who has a lot to lose and has to rein this conversation.
Jon Stewart, though, has been a Trump supporter, and people need to understand that. He has been a Trump supporter.
Know that. Jon Stewart is a Trump supporter? That is surprising.
So with the September 11th, when it all happened and everybody they were having the respiratory issues, all the first responders were having respiratory issues and things to that nature, the Obama administration would not pass would not allow them to be medically exempt into getting them whatever they wanted, because the cost would be too astronomical. Mm-hmm. Trump signed the bill. So Stewart went in, talked to Trump. Those are both New Yorkers. This is what I want. Trump signed the bill, and it took him like 48 hours. He tried to pass it through Congress. I believe Congress struck it down. I think it was in the first 2 years of Trump's administration. Trump said, no, get it through. We're done. I'll use my special power to do it. Jon Stewart was very happy. So I mean, that is stuff that Trump will do. Just it didn't get the radio play. This Trump, because I believe that he was, yes, because when he was on a show, I can't remember which one it was. Might have been like a Good Morning America. Jon Stewart said like, "Yay for Trump," and then they went to commercial break, basically right after it. So I mean, it is what it is. So to me, Jon Stewart's a Trump supporter.
I don't think he's well. That's preaching a little bit. Just because he supported one thing that he did, just because he supported one thing that he did and had an open mind about. He's always been open-minded about these things and been willing to cross the aisle when somebody does something he agrees with.
That's what I mean. Like he's not a hater. Like everybody's like, fuck Trump. He's an asshole. He's a racist. He's all this stuff. He wasn't like, hey, good, go get him, Trump. But he also wasn't like. He wasn't like
not voting for Trump. He's probably going to vote Democrat no matter who runs, but he's going to support him when he does something. When he does something that he agrees with. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying, we'll see what happens with the New York State if they go.
Jon Stewart's not going to vote against a Democrat. Let's not get into crazy land here.
All right, let's go. We'll just wait and see what happens, man. I'm excited.
All right. All right. So we got one TV show host that replaced David Letterman. Let's talk about another one. Conan O'Brien is leaving TBS.
That is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. I'm actually excited, but go on. Why do you say it's unfortunate?
I'm saying it's unfortunate because I've never seen the way that Conan O'Brien now, from what I can, Conan O'Brien and you and me are synonymous. I think of when I know Conan O'Brien from you. Okay. So, watching the VHS like we're talking last week, the Andy Richter stuff, I thought, go ahead.
Let's recap that so people know what we're talking about. So last week, Jean-Marc mentioned that I sort of exposed him to Conan O'Brien because I would stay up late and tape all these shows, and Jean-Marc wouldn't stay up late, so I would show him these clips of Conan O'Brien. He realized, oh, this guy's great.
Yes, absolutely. I like the way that him and Andy were together. I thought they were a great team.
Sure.
What I didn't like was that when when the Boomers didn't want to retire, and they really pissed, and that ended me for the late night. It'd be Leno and Letterman didn't want to let go, especially Leno. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Leno was supposed to move and Conan was supposed to get his spot. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. Well, Leno was – so essentially Conan has had sort of a storied career. He replaced Letterman on Late Night, and it was Late Night with Conan O'Brien instead of Late Night with David Letterman. And then after quite a while of doing it, he started out and nobody really watched his show and eventually established himself as Conan O'Brien. And that was my experiences when I started watching late night TV. There was this guy who nobody had heard of, but he was the funniest guy in late night. And I loved him and I gravitated to him. He's shone through late night television like a beacon in the night. Eventually, he got to the point where he had a contract negotiation. And the agreement was that he would be the next Tonight Show host, which is the gold standard. Every comedian, whether they're in a club or whatever, everyone, that's the dream, is to be the Tonight Show host. Letterman wanted to do it. They wouldn't let him. He went to do, and he did The Late Show on CBS on a rival network. Conan finally has the opportunity to do this. Leno's going to step down, let him do it. And he does. He eventually reaches that gold standard, that crown jewel in his career, for like a few months. And then they start going, hey, we're going to do a show with Jay Leno that's going to be before your show. And we'd like you to do the Tonight Show at 12:05. And he's going, well, 12:05 isn't really the Tonight Show. That's tomorrow. By definition, it's 12:05. So basically his network wasn't friendly with him. Eventually they took him off the air and he went to TBS. Now he has nothing but good things to say to TBS, about TBS, but now he's going to HBO Max.
Yeah, which is great because HBO Max is going to give him the platform where he's not going to need to worry about language. He'll be able to get a little bit, maybe some darker guests, get a little bit more hot topic, like deeper, darker topics. Something like we did when we were talking about superheroes. Don't do that earlier in the show. Like he'll probably be able to dive into that, which I'm okay with. Another thing that I'm hoping he does, and I'm going to follow him right to HBO Max. Trust me, my friend. I'm hoping that he takes the guests. So when they come back out with it sounds like they might be doing new Game of Thrones and they come out with all these new HBO shows, that they go, you can no longer go on NBC and all these other shows. you have to do the Conan O'Brien show first. We get the exclusives on this show, and then people will want to come and watch our show for that. And I honestly think that's great for Conan. I think that's going to be better for him than anything else. I just think that his last show on cable I guess it is technically cable for the America, but for us, it's kind of at the end of an era for me.
Well, no, but it's not going to be. It's going to be on HBO Max, so it's going to be a streaming show. He's also said, and I'm looking forward to see it. We don't know because it hasn't happened yet, but he's also describing it as a variety show.
Oh.
So, and that's I think that's a little bit more in his wheelhouse too, because if you watch his show, it was always very wacky, very over the top, very, he would get.
I liked his was it video game, knows nothing about video games or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's probably some of my favorite shows. Like we sit around with like Marshawn Lynch and doing that stuff.
But even back in the day, when he was on late night in the 95 and 93, he's been on there since 1992, I believe, or 1993. But he would have these wacky characters. He had Pimp Bot. I remember it was a combination of a robot and a pimp, and he would say these wacky things. And then he would have Max Weinberg, whereas most late night hosts would talk to their guest or their band leader, but Max Weinberg was made into a character. He was like this Lothario perverted guy who would say these inappropriate things. He turned him into an actual character. He went an extra step and almost made it more like a skit show, just talking to his band leaders. And then there's Conan, or there's Andy Richter. He had interesting characters. So a variety show might be a little bit more
right up his alley.
Yeah.
Like when he goes on a car trip with a girl teaching an intern how to drive, and then Kevin Hart and Ice Cube jump in the car, and they're like, all right, we're going to smoke weed, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, let's go do this. And they're like, all right, and she's just four girls driving. And that's just comic gold. That's Conan.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
What is Conan, like six? Is he 6'5"?
He's a tall guy, I know that. 6'5"
ginger with an 8-foot head, and he's just hilarious. He's gangly looking. Yeah. He's and to me, Conan, I'll follow you, buddy. I love that guy.
You got to remember, a lot of guys got their start with Conan too. Amy Poehler was Andy Richter's brother or Andy Richter's sister that had a crush on Conan, I think it was. It's been a couple of years, or might have been the other way. Yeah, Andy Richter's sister who had a crush on Conan. Of course, you're not supposed to mention him, but Louis C.K. started out as a writer and moved on to other things. Andy Richter even left the show for a while to pursue an acting career. And then the day that he got on the Tonight Show, he's like, hey, Andy, you're coming back because we're doing the Tonight Show together. And he welcomed him back with open arms,
Absolutely, man. That's Conan. That tells me Conan's a good guy. Mm-hmm. Like, that's exactly what that tells me.
So June 24th is going to be his last show. After that, HBO Max. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next from Conan.
So am I. I'm very well. Best of luck, Conan, on your future endeavors, man. We are excited to see the content you have for us coming down the pipe.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of content, we got two pieces left.
I'm gonna drop one on you here, Adam. Just before we jump into that, Adam, what kind of soda do you drink, my friend?
I drink Diet Pepsi. You know that.
Diet Pepsi. That's what you drink. Yeah. Now I drink. This show will be sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Oh.
Now what has happened? Euro Cup. I know you do not pay attention to the Euro Cup. Basically, a bunch of European nations have almost like a World Cup. I love it because it is Euro Cup 2020. Yes, 2020, just like the Olympics. So it's a massive sport. Billions of people watching it 3 games a day. Just a nice tournament. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of I would probably say the greatest soccer player on the earth. Billions of followers on all different platforms, is worth I think he's almost $1 billion, and he's not retired yet. Sat down at his press conference. It's sponsored by Coca-Cola, the Euro Cup, and moved the 2 bottles of Coca-Cola out of the camera view, said, "You Coke, drink water," and Coca-Cola took it.
Wow. So he said he doesn't like Coke and he wants water.
So Cristiano Ronaldo, if you follow men's fitness at all, any type of men's health, men's fitness, he's one of the most fittest people in the world. His body is renowned. He treats it as a temple. Nothing bad goes in. He tells you everything he's going to eat. He brings his own cooking team with him. He's got 3 nutritionists. His body is all up in the air. It's all about nutrition. Now, he came out before the Euro Cup and kind of told his son is coming up in a soccer, very young, but said that his son wants the sweets and doesn't have that say no aspect to it. And he said, you can't get a body like your dad if you do this stuff.
Okay.
Ronaldo says, I am removing the Coca-Cola. It said, ew, Coke. Held a glass of water or his bottle of water and said, drink water. Coca-Cola the next day lost $4 billion off the top and is continuing to drop. Now, my question to you is, what would you do if your company lost $4 billion after sponsoring a worldwide event?
So did they sponsor the athlete or did they sponsor the event?
The event. So it's sponsored by Coca-Cola. It's cost them billions of dollars to get it. It's one of the hottest tournaments.
I would not be happy. I would possibly pull my sponsorship at the very least, and I might be considering legal ramifications because somebody who works for your company did something that cost my company money. So there could be some ramifications for that.
Now, because it is international, there is no money. He's playing for Portugal. He's playing because it's his country. He's not getting paid to play for them.
Sure.
So to me, I think that I just go after the Euro Cup and just say, you're giving me the $4 billion, I would think.
Well, I don't think, they're going to have to go to court for something like that. It's an interesting situation because Euro Cup, I guess it is, they're sponsored by Coke, but the person who said something that hurt Coca-Cola, hurt their sponsor, they're not in control of that person. Now, there is a question as to whether or not they have any leeway over what these people can say. I'm not familiar enough with.
But how stupid are you? Now, I'm going to say this, like if you're PR, if you're the Coke guy and your job is to put the Coke bottle up, and it's a proven fact that Cristiano Ronaldo only drinks water, the occasional best of the wines, the purest of vodkas, only on certain days, and he has to be off training or bulking or whatever the hell he's going to do. You put water. You are Coca-Cola. You have Powerade, you have Dasani, you have all this. You put water in front of Ronaldo.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what you do. The guys who did it are dumb.
Yeah,
and I'm just going to put that up in front of them.
Is it Dasani is a Coke product, I believe?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Could
Dasani.
be. It's one of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would have been a lot easier to just say, hey, you want a Coke or a Dasani? And he'd say, I want a Dasani, right? So yeah.
I wouldn't even give him the choice. Like the guy's like the freak of nature. He's the best soccer player in the world. Billions of people follow him and love him. You just know, right away, this guy doesn't drink Coke. He hates it. He's come out and said it before. Don't drink soft drinks. Here, put water in front of him.
Makes sense. Yeah, it would have been a no-brainer there. I am a little bit it's interesting because the more things change, the more they stay the same, because I'm reminded of it's a bit of a rerun. I've seen this one before because famously, when we were in high school, Britney Spears was making Pepsi commercials, and she was asked in an interview, do you like Pepsi? And she said, actually, I prefer Coke, and lost her sponsorship right away. It's like I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
I totally forgot about that. That's awesome. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, because didn't she do a Pepsi? Didn't she do a song, My Generation or something?
Yeah, she did Pepsi commercials.
But she did a Pepsi song too and put in one of her albums, I think.
Maybe, I don't know. I thought it was a commercial, but it could.
So when we're no longer the largest internet secret on the internet,
best kept secret on the internet. Yeah.
Who would you want us to sponsor from Drinkwise?
Well, I would have said Tim Hortons, but their coffee sucks.
That's moose piss. Don't ever drink a Timmy's coffee.
Yeah. I like McDonald's coffee, but I don't want McDonald's to sponsor us for a lot of other reasons. I don't really know. Who would you want to sponsor us?
You see, this is where I'm at. Am I a Heineken guy? Do I want to get do I want a beer company? Do I want
Listen. I'm not taking money from a beer company. Maybe you will, but I don't drink alcohol, so that would be infringing
See,
on my
because
morals.
you're Diet Pepsi, I'm a Coke guy all through and through. I'm Coke. Now what
about Perrier? I love Perrier.
I fucking hate Perrier water. Oh god,
this is the problem this show's gonna get into. We're never gonna find a sponsor.
We're never gonna find something because we can't find the sponsor we want. You know what? Maybe we have to go like Smart Water, which I believe, which is a Pepsi product. So,
well, whatever. Long story short, if you're taking someone's money, you got to do their work, and bad mouthing them is not their work.
If you don't want to do their money, just say I don't want to do it, and just explain why, and just say no. Too bad, I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see, because like now, I just want to say one thing. If you're a PR department, you change the narrative real quick. You say that he handed the Coke off to a good friend of his, and then you find another athlete that when he does it, you just splice it and go, "Thank you, Ronaldo, for the Coke." And then Ronaldo goes, "You motherfuckers."
You know, it is interesting. One thing that I am going to say is there, especially in the 90s, I don't really see it as much, although I don't watch as many commercials as you would see like athletes sponsoring like they'd be in hamburger commercials and eating junk food and eating like, why on earth would you have a Coke product like Coca-Cola sponsoring an athletic? You know, these soccer guys, they're not, especially soccer. This is an athlete. Like, you got to be able to have cardio. You can't be holding excess weight. Coca-Cola is it's just calories. There's no good from it. Why would you sponsor an athletic contest? You know, it's just
well, it's the same thing like when we were kids. Like if you looked at like the tennis match in Montreal, the Demorier Open.
Yeah,
like the players, they used to like they banned cigarettes advertising sporting events. Like you know, like you had the Players Indy 500. This Players Light was sponsoring the Indy downtown. You had like tennis was Demorier. Imagine running around tennis back in the day, Boris Becker, and you got a dart blowing, you got a heater coming out of your mouth, and you're backhanding a serve. Yeah, like. I couldn't see Ronaldo. I can't see Ronaldo or Messi or Mbappe or these names don't mean nothing to you. I don't see them grabbing a Coke on the sideline.
No.
And what I said was you have Powerade. Throw a Powerade out.
Yeah.
You have what's Pepsi? Pepsi's got Muscle Milk. You throw out a product that an athlete's going to go that might not even know it's Coke.
Yeah, you throw out a product that's in line with
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Listen, man, if you want to go to McDonald's, get a Coke. I love you want to eat some pizza, get a Coke. That's cool with me. But like, don't put in front of Ronaldo. Like, don't put a fucking Coca-Cola. Like, you make more money with him taking a drink of your Powerade.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 billion. It would make sense. Get Gatorade, get Powerade. You know,
fire somebody.
It's got what plants need. It's got electrolytes.
That's exactly it, buddy.
All right, so we got two more stories. They're just basically reviews. So we're going to be reviewing the Chyna documentary and the Loki episode.
Which one you want to hit first? You know what? Let's go Chyna, and then we can get positive with Loki.
Okay, that sounds good. So, Chyna, have you seen this Vice Versa? Vice Versa presents Chyna on Vice.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. That was something else. That was what was your experience watching this? What did you think?
It buried, and when I say buried, like it covered up, it buried a lot of people. Okay. I'm going to say I gained a little respect for, I don't even know his name anymore. Mr. Attitude Era, fucking bearded prick that nobody likes.
X-Pac.
Oh, I hate him now.
Vince Russo.
There it is, Vince Russo. My apologies. I have to edit that one out. It gave me a little bit more, a little love, not a lot of love, a little love for Vince Russo.
A little love for Vince Russo.
Because Vince Russo didn't, and I'll explain to you why, but we'll get into it. I really, honestly, am not a fan right now of the WWE. I think it made them look horrible, made the whole wrestling business, I think, for the most part, look like a piece of shit.
Well, I kind of knew a lot of the information that they were going to go into when this started. I knew that, Triple H and Chyna had a relationship. Once Chyna left, suddenly Chyna didn't exist in the WWE. It was never mentioned again. And then when the issue of putting her into the Hall of Fame got brought up, the response was, well, she's been in porn and we can't have that kind of stuff. But plenty of people in the WWE Hall of Fame, most notably Sunny, have been in porn. And people will go, oh, no, she did it afterwards. No, that's not true. She did do porn before she was in the WWE Hall of Fame. There are plenty of people who have these pasts that'll bring up this kind of stuff, just as bad as Chyna. And the WWE has stuck to that. I knew about Chyna's drug use. I knew about her being on reality shows, and
I knew everything that they showed. Mm-hmm. I even know more than what they showed.
Sure.
But my thing was the way it was shown. I think was.
But so here's the other thing, though. I knew all that going into it, but I will say that's what I expected in this documentary. That was my expectation. I got about 10 minutes into it and I realized this is a different documentary than I realized, because I knew there was a documentary on Chyna that included her body being found when she died. And I knew that there were people pushing against that documentary being released. And about 10 minutes in, it's like, oh, that's what this is. Vice. They didn't, this documentary popped out of nowhere, and it was like kind of a bit of a dark side of the ring, kind of whatever. So you go, okay, well, they're doing that. And then next thing you know, they start splicing in these scenes, and these directors who were, they featured the people who were producing and directing, and her manager, who is a piece of shit, by the way. I'm going to start off by saying that. And you start piecing this together. I did, because I was aware of the other documentary. I go, oh, this is not what I signed up for, but I kept watching. And they did an interesting piece of magic, not magic, but an interesting piece of a calculated move, is that they started, by the time you realized that that was the documentary you were watching, they were already depicting the people filming it in a negative light. They were making them look like garbage. And that signaled to me, by the time I realized what I was watching, that it wasn't them releasing this documentary, that they wouldn't make themselves look bad. Somebody else had gotten a hold of this documentary, Vice, obviously, and they were controlling the narrative and making sure that you realize the people who were exploiting Chyna at the end of her life looked like shit. And that was what I took out of this, is these people are pieces of shit.
Okay, now you and I are on that same page. I totally forgot about the documentary about her, about them finding her, and then documenting the body. And I totally forgot about that right until the end. Yeah. When they were like, hey, we found her body, because the wife had no idea what. So when I sat down and watched it, I watched it with the wife who knew Chyna, didn't know Chyna, but knew Chyna. And then when she watched it, her hatred for the WWE is through the roof.
Okay.
So it depicted that Triple H is a dick, which now everything I thought of Triple H being somewhat okay, he's a dick. Stephanie's a slut. Vince Russo tried to save Chyna at the beginning. Like, you know what I mean? When you see some of those interviews, and I follow Vince Russo a little bit. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen those interviews before. The guys who filmed that, the little fucking fanboys, they should all be brought up on charges and shot.
Well, I've got their names if you want to talk about them one by one.
No, we don't need to bring up their names.
I would like to talk about them one by one. So,
all right, let's talk about them one by one, first and last name, and let's rip them apart. And if you can give me a quick description so I can know which one it is.
So Eric Angra, he kind of had Who's
the bearded guy?
He was a bearded guy, but not the bald bearded guy. And he was kind of the guy that was conducting the interview. He would say, I was talking to Chyna, and I could hear in my own voice that I was high and that I was fucked up. I think this guy's, he's a piece of shit, but at least he's decent enough to realize it. He kind of, when you're hearing him in these interviews, Eric Angra, he's not proud of what was going on, and perhaps didn't even really realize what was going to be happening, right?
Yeah, no, but he's still a piece of shit. And
he is, yeah, absolutely. He's a sleazy guy, but he's at least self-aware enough to know that he's a sleazy guy. He did this interview, they clearly did post documentary interviews with these people, and he's like, yeah, it seems like he's not proud of himself. So that's not a great person. We're not going to defend him in any way. He's a sleazy person. The next guy is Rob. Oh, okay, one second. So the next guy is Rob Potylo, Potylo. This is kind of a weird looking guy. I thought he had a beard and shaved head. I thought this guy seemed like a decent enough guy. He seemed like he didn't really know what he was signing up for, and was very friendly in the beginning of the documentary. And when you interviewed him, he kind of was the first to crucify the other two guys who were involved in this. And he seems like he was actually, and I've looked a little bit into it, he looks like he was actually genuinely friends with Chyna too.
Yes. Well, he was the one that wanted to make the resurrection, right? Like he wanted to. That's what he thought he was doing, was bringing Chyna, was going to bring her back to the WWE, get her back in like a WrestleMania, release his documentary, and make millions. Like that. And to me, that made sense. He wasn't that bad.
And now that brings me to the sleaziest one, was her manager. This is Anthony Anzaldo,
whoever. Anthony
Anzaldo. This guy, I mean, there isn't a scene that this guy did that, they're on the phone with Dr. Drupinski, but before they do it, they're saying, like, they're going over, they're taking taking stock in what drugs Chyna is doing. And he's like, let's not mention that to him because it could incriminate him in some way. So and then you realize how the fucking documentary ends. You almost fucking wonder if he maybe wanted something terrible to happen to her. But anyway, he's enabling her and saying, don't mention, it's fucking bad. It's fucking bad. And then at the end, he takes a camera. It sounds like everybody in the documentary knew we couldn't get a hold of Chyna, and they already knew the answer to the question that was on their mind. And he's like, let's make sure to bring a fucking camera for this. And I can't even.
Here's the problem, is that everybody, the three guys you just mentioned,
all
knew they were all fucking douchebags when they did it. They all wanted to do it for money. Looking back at it now, when they got their hand caught and now they look like pieces of shit, they're all trying to backpedal.
Yeah.
They're all trying to backpedal and say, oh, I did this, I did that. The last guy's such a cunt.
Yeah.
I ever see that guy. If I even hear, like, there's a Comic-Con in Toronto and this guy's going to be there because now he's trying to run on this fame, I am going there and I'm going to autograph him.
Yeah. Well,
like, he's how he's not in prison.
Yeah.
Mind boggles me. He's admitted drug use on TV. You have documents of him getting drugs for her, doing all this. How is that not it? And then what really bugged me about it was that they went into Dr. Drew, but they didn't go into the celebrity rehab stuff where it all went downhill with X-Pac and he showed up and it was a big shit show and all these guys knew about it. Like, they brought nothing up. The thing that took me away from this was that this is a useless waste of life. It could have been caught. Everybody knew about it. Nobody wanted to do anything about it.
And that's even like the part that everybody is going to remember is that this guy wanted to film the discovery of Chyna's body. That's what everybody's going to remember.
He did, and I guarantee there is a video of her body.
There is. And why it would exist, like was said on the documentary, is why would you even want that? But with that said, that's what everybody's going to remember. But the part that resonated with me the most, and I just mentioned it, is she's sitting there saying, like, I got to get this fixed. I got to get help. She knows she's got a problem. She's talking to Dr. Drupinski, who is, a rehab doctor, trying to get her, like, whatever. And this guy's fucking sitting next to her saying, don't mention these. He doesn't need to know about this. These ones are, you don't need to, there's nothing illegal about this. So we're not even going to let him know about it because it could incriminate him somehow. Why the fuck would it incriminate him somehow? Just let him fucking know. Just disclose. Like, the guy is such a piece of shit. So I couldn't even fucking like that. The fact that he filmed that, he fucking filmed him doing that. And that is, that discovering the body is terrible and sleazy, but enabling her in that, like, that's not even enabling her. She's saying, I don't want to do this. And he's going, well, we can do it this way. So you won't even get caught doing it. And fucking, she's even trying to get clean. And he's almost pushing these pills down her fucking throat on fucking camera. And he recorded it.
Adam, and that's an addict's mentality, is that you got to keep the hook in. Like, that to me is a pusher. And that's exactly what it is that he just basically was a piece of shit and he just wanted to keep her in. And he just said, don't tell him about this one. Why? Because if you told him that you had an abuse of opioids, he could prescribe you this and your life probably get a lot better faster. But we won't tell him about this and we won't tell him about that. And then when she dies and they say she had muscle relaxers, painkillers, booze, this, and this, and you go, oh, everything you just fucking mentioned fucking 10 minutes ago in the documentary, that's what she had in her system. But yet nobody thought it was a big thing to go up to the guy and go, come here, we need to talk. We need to have a little conversation about the death of her. That to me is a murder. You can physically see it on, don't tell them about this, or this, just go. And then the night before, 2 nights before, when that last documentary is, when the last thing is filmed in that condo, I need help. Help me. I know it's not going good. And they're filming. Dude, put the fucking camera down.
Yeah, help her. Treat her like a person.
But then the rest of the other guys, like X-Pac and Triple H and all these guys in the WWE, they're all just to blame. You
think so? Why do you think X-Pac and these people?
X-Pac got her into it.
Well, okay, but that's a lot different. They were young and they were partying and she got into drugs and so did he,
Yeah, but what they didn't cover, and I remember this, and I want to say it was this Surreal House or Celebrity Rehab or something like that.
Surreal House, I think.
But Dr. Drew was involved. So so when Dr. Drew was involved with that Celebrity House, X-Pac showed up fucked up out of his mind and said, I want to get back to you. I don't know how long her and Dr. Drew were together because the documentary didn't say. So I'm assuming her and X-Pac were fresh breaking up within 6 months. So, I mean, you know that's happening. Then she walks into the WWE and they just tell her to kind of go away. Nobody's available for you.
I don't think that X-Pac did anything wrong. He got drunk and told his girlfriend he loves her and wants to get back with her. I mean, it's a sleazy thing to put on a reality TV show, but it's not that he's a bad person. He didn't get her hooked on drugs. It even sounds like he was hiding. He says at one point, I was hiding my drug use. She was hiding her drug use.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody, those last guys, the 3 guys that made the documentary, pieces of shit. And I would imagine because it just came out, Thursday?
Yeah. No, yeah, Thursday. Yeah,
Thursday. I'm assuming next week there's going to be an investigation made against it, and they'll rip it apart. Probably already is one going right now.
Would be great to see some of these people.
Dude, it's just yet again, it's one of those things where now we should be looking at other wrestlers, but also look at it from a standpoint of some of the things that you've seen in that video. That we know people that are probably going through the same thing.
Sure, yeah.
Which is horrible. And when you reach out and you offer somebody to something, they have to take it. Sometimes they won't take it, and you can't hold yourself against it. But it's like,
and that's what's so fucking heartbreaking about this is there's so many addicts that don't want the help. She wanted the help. It's just the people around her were pieces of shit that wanted to exploit her, that were saying like, don't let him know this. And she's talking to a doctor trying to get clean. Don't let him know this so you can keep.
Well, controversy creates cash. I mean, it's an old saying, and it's a saying by somebody in the wrestling business, but it's true.
Yeah. And then after they cremated Chyna, her mother says, get rid of a third of the ashes here and mail the rest to me. And he took like half of them for himself. And then he's got this bedazzled urn. And like, there was like this ceremony. Did he sell tickets to that? Is he?
I believe he did, because then he grabs it and says, well, the bitch is here. And then da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, dude,
yeah,
you literally took who I consider one of the best female wrestlers of all time, and you've destroyed her. Yeah, we should destroy you.
Well, Chyna was this iconic character in the WWE universe, and the
ninth wonder of the world.
Yeah, and he wanted to make some money off of her, and even after she's passed away, he's still trying to make money off of her. And that the one thing that I took from this is that Anthony Anzaldo is a piece of shit. That's it.
He's probably one of the worst in the world. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah. And this guy's a manager, so he might be managing other people, and managing is just manipulating them. From what I can see in his way of managing is just manipulating them to get more money out of them.
That's one of the first documentaries I watched. I watched it at like 11 o'clock in the morning. I think I messaged you when I watched it. And fucking like, I was literally in tears by the end of it. And like, it's just hard to watch. Like somebody that we loved. Like we always loved Chyna. Like you and I have always been fans of Chyna. I was always respectful. I always loved her. I think she got a bad shaft in the WWE. But I think that also you wanted to see her succeed. And she didn't have an avenue. Like literally, she went to Japan, as it showed, and literally fought men, and the men were impressed that she was still getting up.
Yeah, she fought Chono, which was I didn't know that. I didn't know she wrestled for Japan. I when I was watching that, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know she had a run in Japan, which is really cool.
And then she's broke because of other things, and I hope that the money that Vice makes off of this, I hope it goes to her family. Like you don't need to be making more money off of it. Like make what you make off of it, but also give a cut to Chyna's family. Because I mean, that's what it is, you know. And it's funny we're watching it and they're showing like her end of the WWE and she's with Eddie Guerrero, and I'm looking at it and I'm going like, those two were an underrated tag team. I'll tell you that much.
Do you think that this will put pressure on the WWE to finally put her into the Hall of Fame? I mean, I know they don't want to. We both know they don't want to.
Did they not put her in as a member of DX?
No, they did not put her in.
What? Yeah, did they not put her in as a member of DX?
No.
They didn't put Chyna? They just put DX in?
Yeah.
Oh, they have to now. Like, I'm sure, I'm positive that Triple H is going to take backlash for this.
Yeah. Well, do you think that, like I said, they don't want to put her in the Hall of Fame? Do you think that now...
They have to now. They absolutely have to.
Yeah?
They have to go on a pro-Chyna thing. They have to go on, if you need rehab, we'll pay for it. Doesn't matter if you're ECW, WCW, anything we own, we're going to put you through rehab. We need to make sure that you guys are okay. And
it's sad that it takes something like this. I mean, Chyna should have been like first ballot Hall of Fame entry. She should have been there. She should, like, I mean, I say what you will. There is no one like her, the ninth wonder of the world. She should have been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And now, and let's just use it like today. I don't think they have the divas they have today if it wasn't for Chyna. Like Trish, I'll go Trish, Lita, and Chyna. Like those were like, especially in our era, those were trailblazers for it. But like some of the women that are out there now doing the things they did, that's basically because of Chyna. Chyna Fightman, dude, Chyna won an Intercontinental Championship and nobody batted an eye. It was believable.
So that's kind of where I'm not sure I agree with you on things. Is I don't think Chyna had a bit of a chip on her shoulder about wrestling other women. She didn't want to do it. She wanted to wrestle men. She thought it was almost like a downgrade to wrestle. Even in the documentary, they say she should be wrestling men and not women. So she was a trailblazer. She was unique. And I'm not sure I disagree. Maybe the women's wrestling has been furthered by her. Maybe.
But nonetheless, I think the WWE has to make this right. They have something. They have to do something.
I do think that she belongs in the Hall of Fame. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no
absolutely two
ways about it. With that said, you want to get into Loki?
Let's do it, buddy.
All right. So Loki episode 2, a lot to unpack. A bit of a mind fuck. Loki is teaming up with the TVA, and they are seeking out the other variant of Loki. I'm going to say they're really doubling down on this gender fluid thing too, eh?
Absolutely. I thought it was actually pretty good. What'd you think of the episode overall?
I thought it was good. I thought it was, I like that every episode is progressing the story a significant amount. By the end of every episode, it's like, oh, they're going in a completely different direction, because now it looked like first episode, okay, he's going to be with the TVA and that's going to be the thing, and Owen Wilson's going to be like his, whatever. Now they're in the past and he's in a completely different thing, and they've got this spiraling reality thing going on.
Yeah, so what I thought was going to happen was when he puts the jacket on, it says variant on the back of his jacket. I had a little chuckle on that. I figured it was going to be like a cop show, like him and Owen Wilson. They'd walk in like the typical Law and Order. You flip the book. What do we got? Loki killed him 85 before he died, he yelled something, and then they go, okay, he's probably going to be here.
Yeah.
And then they go, right? I thought it was kind of cool that they went back to like Pompeii and they were like, what was it, like 35 AD. Like, I thought it was kind of cool and how they found him. I enjoyed the episode. It's getting hard to watch, man.
Yeah? Why do you say it's getting hard to watch?
I understand the time travel, but they're jumping a lot. You like, if you go up for a chip and you crunch at the wrong time, that is taking you to different. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, well, they're doing a lot of like a lot of time travel stuff. It's interesting. They're making these variants. They're doing a lot of that, and I think this series is going to be going in a lot of different directions. But interesting that they had a female version of Loki in this episode too.
Well, you see, and this is like when you said that, I was like, what? A female version of Loki? Yeah, it happens, man. It's Loki. That's what he does. I didn't even bat an eye until you said something. Because you don't know it. Loki could be a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Like he could literally be one of the pylons on the side of the road.
Yeah. So it is Sophie DiMartino. I haven't seen her in anything else before. I'm not aware of her in anything else.
No, neither am I.
Yeah, really hammering down on that gender fluid thing as well. So one of the things that happened is I'm not sure I totally even understood this, is at the end of the episode, he sends these what are they? These timeline reset things into the past. But you also, or I guess it was her that did it. You also hear that every time there's a variation, they collect a little bit of variation energy. So it's almost like they've scattered this variant timeline divergence throughout the entire timeline.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the hell's going on here.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden now everything's growing. Now I'm like, now is this screwing up the other timelines that we know? Mm-hmm. Like, do we have to have more time travel or like, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
Because you see, when you see the branches start to grow, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my brain is going to melt.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because in what was it? Endgame, they had a very clear definition of how time travel works. I'm a big fan of time travel movies, but the thing is you have to establish the rules and stay within them. And by the end of Endgame, when Captain America is sitting on the bench, having gone back in time and sticking around in that timeline, he has violated the rules that they set, because they say when you travel back in time, you're going to a different universe. You can't travel back to your own and stick around. Captain America managed to do it. By the end of this, they've already violated the rules they've set. Now they're going full blown in the opposite direction with this. You're going back in time and creating divergence and this, that, and the other thing. It went from a very easy to understand thing to something that your average fan is going to get a little bit confused. I'm excited because I like those sort of things, but now we're getting into an area where, do you think that maybe the casual fans are not going to be able to follow it?
You have one more episode. So you have episode 3 to clean up that bullshit you just did and fix it all. It's easy for the regular person to follow and just say there's a tree. Like they showed it, like it's almost got branches. Okay, that's a tree. He's in Loki. The variant that we're looking for is in one of these branches. We just don't know where he is. We have to go find him.
My expectation is that that's not going to happen.
That's the easy way to go. Okay, we're going to go to 45 AD. Now we're going to go to 1985. Then we're going to go to 45. Okay, where are we going now? Now we're going to go to the hurricane. Okay, cool. Don't fuck it up. He's not here. He's here. Okay, he just left. He probably went to 62. Make it easy. Don't go, hey, I'm going to throw all this shit out here, and then you watch the tree grow. You're like, oh, I'm so fucked. The casual fan is done.
My expectation is that they're going to make the rest of the show about different timelines and different universes and all of that and how it's spiraling out of control, and probably sometime at the very last finale, in the finale of the episode, they're going to clean it all up, and it might be and this is what we're going to be left with, a completely different MCU, and I'm sure that that's going to be it. But which version of the MCU? How much of the things that we've already seen are going to stick around? What is going to happen? I don't know. I don't even know what we're going to be left with by the end of this show, but it will be interesting to see.
So here's the problem. If you're going to tell me that everything I went and watched in a movie theater, I gave 10 years, 15 years to Iron Man and all the way through. If you're going to tell me that Loki just basically went and said that whole fucking thing did not exist, people are going to be pissed because you fall in love with the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think they're going to go quite that far. I don't think. What are they going to do? I think that there's always going to be like that. Those 21 or 22 movies are always going to be considered canon in the MCU, but you might see, I don't know, you might see perhaps a version where the X-Men have actually been there the whole time, or perhaps a version where maybe, I don't know, Thor did something different, or Loki had a different relationship with Thor or something. I don't know. We're going to have to, I think it's best to not decide if a joke is funny before you hear the punchline. And in this analogy, we've got to get to the punchline before we really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but you can't make the punchline look so goddamn hard to follow before you get to it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have the audience, you have something that we're fighting for. People's time. That's what you and I are doing. We're fighting for people's time. Loki has people's time right now. People got to give up 52 minutes a week to watch this or wait and binge it all. They're not going to want to watch if they look at it and go, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to think way too fucking hard on this.
Well, but the thing is, I don't think to watch Loki that you have to think too hard about it yet. Perhaps you will at one point. But right now, we've got a very straightforward linear timeline. He started out in one place. He was captured by the time cops. And then once he got into the time cops, he's aligned with this variant. And this linear timeline that they're going through is about fucking up the other timeline that we know about. So they're changing a lot of the MCU. The storyline of Loki is, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's not so complex yet. It probably will get complex at some point. But the story is about them fucking up the rest of the timeline.
All right, listen, man. If it starts getting too fuck crazy, I'm done watching Loki.
So what do you think about the MCU? Do you think it's getting too complex for a casual fan to follow?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not straightforward. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, it's not straightforward to watch, and you're like, holy fuck, this is getting hard to watch. It's the same thing. This was my issue with when they give all the Marvel to Netflix, and they had like Luke Cage and Jennifer Jones, and then they started mingling all of them. I was like, okay, I'm not done Jennifer Jones. I want to watch Luke Cage, and then I want to watch this, and all of a sudden they were all kind of bundled in together. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. There's just I can't watch this one, love this one, and then say, oh, they're going to change it. You can't watch WandaVision and then say, well, what the hell's going to happen with Loki? Now, did Loki just change WandaVision? Or is Loki going to run into Captain America on the next one because he's going to go back to 1943 and he's going to run into a skinny Cap and then complete the – but, like, if that's going to happen, then everything else you're just going to want to question.
Yeah, and it's like I said, there was a version of time travel that they were going with where it didn't matter if you go back in time and, kill Hitler. You're going back to your timeline where Hitler didn't get killed. He's going to go be dead in a different timeline. Your actions are not going to affect your timeline. That's a very straightforward. That's an easy way to follow time travel. Now they're getting into, no, they're changing the timeline. They're twisting things around. And it's an interesting, purposeful decision because they've also got things like the Multiverse of Madness coming out. They're going to have an animated version of What If, which is basically just alternate versions of alternate versions. They're starting to get into very abstract things. And it might be, I think, a little bit too much for your average moviegoer to follow.
You better hope that the rest of the Marvel guys haven't given up on you. You got to go back, like the Marvel fans. go back and want to watch this stuff. Because then what's happening is you're going to start losing your viewers. And then what's going to happen is when you need them to go to the box office to watch, Thor and the Asgard, or Thor and the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they don't show up because they don't know if Loki's already fucked that up or what's going on with WandaVision now. And then you have Black Widow coming out in July 9th, which I'm stoked for. But like, now is Loki fucking that one up too because she's already dead. So that's another one you got to go into. So when they start losing money because people are like, I can't follow this anymore, you're the one to blame, not anybody else.
People are getting confused. This is also bringing up an interesting thought about escapism because, we're getting more into this escapism. There's more, it started out with like guys on Earth who are getting a little bit of power, or they make a cool suit or whatever, and they're just dealing with, now it's outer space, alternate timelines, alternate, parallel universes. We're getting into multiverses, outer space, a lot of outer space stuff. It does bring up a discussion about escapism, and is your average moviegoer going to be ready for that? The idea around escapism is that the less you like your life, the more you like escapism. So something like if you were a kid that's bullied in grade school and you don't have any friends and you hate your life, the less you like it, the more you're going to be into like Silver Surfer. He's the farthest thing from my own life, but he's out in some galaxy that doesn't even exist, and he's doing all these crazy things that I could never do.
But that's what you are, right? No, that's not what you are.
That's not what I am.
That's what fans want. That's a niche fan.
Yeah, that's a very niche fan. There's very few people, and comics like the Silver Surfer are like, I was never into that kind of stuff. It's the furthest, it's as far from reality as you can get for people who don't like the reality that they're in. Whereas someone like Wolverine, guys like you and I are fans of, because it's a tough guy, but hell, he's got cool claws. I'd like to be a tough guy with cool claws. You know what I mean? It's
that's
relatable.
We have very, very simple. Like, my thing too is that I don't want to think too hard. Like, if I want to think and walk too hard, like, tell me that's what I'm getting into. Okay. Don't go like, this is what I'm thinking of. Like, when you already have a past with Loki of him being like you said, the god of mischief.
Yeah,
he does bad things. Then all of a sudden he's starting to get a little good, and then you're like, okay, I kind of like this Loki guy. Like, no, now he's gonna go and change fucking universes and this. You're gonna lose him, and then you're gonna get mad.
So it's one thing to make a comic book where the budget can be low and you can find an audience that is large enough in the entire world to support that sort of escapism. Do you think that now we're getting into these $100 million movies and these giant budgets that a movie or a movie franchise with that much escapism has a leg to stand in our world? That has to make a fortune.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
What made the other ones so popular, like that whole section of Marvel so popular? Good-looking actors that people liked, great effects.
Yeah.
An easy story to follow.
Sure. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now it's very easy. You sit down, you know what's going to happen in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what? If you only want to watch the Avengers, you can only watch the Avengers. But then you get a little surprised when Spider-Man's kicking around and all these guys. But like, you only want to follow Captain America, you only watch Captain America, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
With Loki, they're going in every which way, and they got to be very careful because it could cost you $100,000 with paper, materials, writers, artists to do that one comic book. Okay, now that one comic book we got to sell 500,000 of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easy.
500,000.
Easy to recuperate the cost of a comic book often, and you can find a niche audience that'll support that sort of thing. But once you get into a high budget blockbuster film, you got to make something that's available for the masses, and the masses maybe aren't going to stick around for this out there stuff. I enjoy it. I do. I like mindfuck ideas. I like it, but I'm not sure that the box office is going to be there for it.
Yeah, like listen, man, if I'm going on a date and a girl goes, I'll go watch the Avengers. Okay, great. Here's my popcorn. I'm on a date, and all of a sudden, like Thor comes out with these fucking jacked arms and he's shredded. Oh, she's easy to look at. Oh, there's Captain America topless sprinting. Oh, that's nice to look at. I'm like, cool, love the story. Have some popcorn and shut up. You know what I mean? Like we're looking at it that way. So I mean, to me, it's like watching them. It's like you got to be very careful on what you're going to do.
All right. So I think that's it for this week's show. You got anything else you want to get into?
That's it, man. That is it for me. That is it for me.
All right. Well, good show this week. And thanks for watching, guys. If you like our videos, you can really help us out by sharing, especially the clipped videos. We know not everybody's going to watch an hour and a half of us, but if you see somebody talking about something that we've talked about, maybe drop a link with one of our videos in it, and maybe they'll check us out and keep coming back, because we are the best kept secret on the internet right now.
We are, my friend. I like it.
All right,
boys and